What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Junkyard Love Podcast. I'm happy you're here. If you're joining me on YouTube and you're watching this video, welcome to the weirdest camera angle ever. I just wanted to get this intro in there and done and ready to go, plugged into the episode so you guys can get listening to me and Megan Robinson. It's a good convo. What you missed the first couple minutes, I actually hit record on Zoom a little late. So you're coming into a conversation 5 minutes after we had started it. What you missed in the beginning was basically me explaining that I had just broken a 46-hour fast. I was doing an extended fast to mourn the loss of a family member and friend of mine. So I was a bit loopy, kind of maybe a little scattered. It helps with some cognitive areas, but it kind of enhances ADHD to some extent. So I was a little bit all over the place, but I was kind of explaining that at the beginning of the episode, and then Megan and I began talking about diet and fasting and these sorts of things, and that's where you guys tune in. So that's the episode. It's pretty good. If you guys are enjoying this, please subscribe, like, share, all of that sort of thing. If you want to check out clips or trailers, I'm going to have a YouTube channel going shortly, Junkyard Love Podcast Clips. That can be found on the Junkyard Love. Just search Junkyard Love on YouTube and you should be able to find it. And then if you'd like to also watch some clips that I post to social media, I'm not interacting on social media right now, but I am posting. I'm posting and ghosting only. So check out my social media page on Instagram, Jacob from the Internet, all one word. And shortly, YouTube will all be changing to Jacob from the Internet, and the Junkyard Love Podcast will just be under the Jacob from the Internet channel. And then I think I'll still do a separate Junkyard Love Podcast clip. So that's where we're at with all that. I really appreciate you guys listening. I really appreciate any interaction. If you do like this episode, if you do like anything that's said in here, if you like a clip or whatever it is, share it with your friends, leave a comment. The interaction does help. It's all really just word of mouth, how I'm advertising this. I don't really pay for any promotion or anything like that. So what you guys share is how people listen. I appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, stretch, wherever you're at, get present, use your 5 senses, enjoy the episode. We'll see you next one. Hello and welcome to the Junkyard Love Podcast.
With ourselves.
Knowledge is power.
Lost like 40 pounds off of doing that. So
that's good. Yeah, congrats on that. Isn't that interesting how we feel like, just because there is the extreme levels of eating disorders, or bulimia or anorexia, or like people who have really bad binge eating habits, or whatever it is, we somehow, a lot of us feel like, oh, I don't want to identify, like I'm not trying to take away anything from you, but I do have my own versions of it, because I have my looking at me, someone might roll their eyes, but I have problems with binge eating. Like, it's an emotional thing. And so, but, I think learning how your body works and trying to just, so you learned that counting all your calories and being like, super strict about it doesn't exactly work. Like, being overly strict about it kind of crushes it.
Right. Yeah, no. And for me, like, I knew that wanting to monitor how much I ate and like my intake and outtake was sort of like a gateway to like a larger trigger of how I was when I was in high school. And I would just not eat. It wasn't like intermittent fasting. I just wouldn't eat. And then like when I would eat, it was like such a little amount of calories. And then I'd want to like work off those calories. And then like I passed out a few times, and then that was sort of like a red alert of like, okay, I shouldn't do this anymore. This is really bad. And then I sort of like during college, like swung the opposite way where it was like, all right, well, I'm stressed. There's all this free food everywhere because
Yeah.
college, I'm going to eat all of it. And then that also wasn't the right way to do it either. But like so many people have, and I mean, I guess it's wrong. I'm sure there's some sort of psychological title for it, but because I know of people that have had it worse or have had to like go to rehab for it or have been in the hospital for long periods of time or, have turned into nothing. I don't want to put myself in that same like label as like
Mhm.
anybody else that had it that bad. But like, I know that that is like a trigger for me that like, that's not something that I should do because
Right.
then I'll get like maybe addicted to that idea again and then like fall back into that path.
Isn't that so crazy, man? Like just getting older, we're realizing how, I mean, food and diet and our nutrition turns out to be one of the most confusing things to handle. Like I mean, growing up, that we were always trying to like, okay, well, I want to look this way, or I want to, I want to eat these foods so I can fit into this, or whatever it is. But then as I've gotten older, I'm like, but how do I feel? How do I
Mm,
feel? Like if my mental's not feeling good, if I'm feeling tired, if I'm feeling off, like I really want my body to feel good. And then if it looks good, that's a cool side effect. But it's an exploration as we get older and as we're learning more about food and, all this nutrition stuff about the microbiome and all these, we think that it's just calories and bad calories make you fat, but there's also there's like these bad oils that are not good for your stomach. There's all these little extra, GMOs. We still don't really know if they're going to give us third arms growing out of our back or what's going to happen there. So nutrition is super complicated, honestly.
no, and like it's nutrition and like what you're like we're an engine. So like whatever we give our body that we're used to. So like I'm kind of addicted to coffee, but
Mm.
like, I know that if I wake up, I'm used to having a cup of coffee. So like, when I'm traveling and stuff and there's not always like a Starbucks close by and I don't have that coffee midday, I'm gonna feel kind of poopy. And just because my engine is expecting like, okay, you're gonna give me a burst of caffeine,
Right.
like I'm not used to giving it to you that. And like even recently I've been with like the way the world is right now, I've been super into like my vitamins and like all the little packs. I drink like a vitamin C, like energy C every day. And so
Nice.
on a day where like I skip that, the next day I feel it. And it's like, oh why? And I was like,
Uh,
oh, I didn't take this yesterday. And like my engine just doesn't feel as good.
yeah, you gotta keep your engine tuned up, isn't it crazy? You can notice those it's very subtle, but you can notice the next day. You're like, oh, that's why I feel a little off. I didn't stick to my schedule of
Yeah.
vitamins. Do you
You
know
have
off the
to
top of your head what other vitamins you're taking?
I take it's elderberry. It's
Okay.
like a little gummy of that. And then I have like a daily vitamin. And then that's kind of it right now. I want to build more onto it though. Cause like
Mhm.
I've definitely like within the last few months, like felt the benefits of like all those vitamins that I've been taking lately. And I've been like knock on wood or like whatever I've got around me. Like
Yeah.
I've been the healthiest I've been for the longest. Like, I
Oh,
haven't
good.
had anything like a hiccup or like a sick day or anything like that. So I think it's working and it's something I want to keep up and like learn more about. But I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just like, here, let me start taking this. And then I like
Right.
start to feel the benefits of it. And I was like, okay, like I've given into this marketing scheme if there is one. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
know. Hats off to you though. I mean, for taking any of that step though, because like we just said, it's super confusing. And
mhm.
there's also this aspect you were just starting to say. You get marketed to, like your Instagram. You start clicking on, there's a fish oil ad that catches your eye, and you like read it for a little while, and then all of a sudden, all of your ads are about fish oil, or all of your ads are about this new multivitamin. And some of it is like being sold to us, and it's kind of, it's like, is this actually good, or is this just they know the perfect algorithm to get it in front of me, and they're good at selling it and making it flashy and making it sound cool. But if you're taking it and you feel good, then the juice is worth the squeeze to me. I mean, like, sell to me if it's going to help my health.
I think it's for me the oily vitamins because like all the
Mm.
influencers end up like getting those or get them mailed to you. The packaging is so pretty. They're on all the like end caps at Target. And so like I'll end up purchasing like an oily vitamin. This is how I got into the elderberry. And then but they're like 14.99. It's only like a month supply. So like to me that's not a good value. I end up buying that, liking the perks of that, and then I'll go find the like generic brand or like
There you
the
go.
Target brand or whatever of that vitamin. So I
Yeah.
guess they get me in the scheme, but then I'm like, nope, this isn't worth it. And then I find an alternative way to get it.
That's smart though. That's what you got to do because I mean, there's so many different subcategories and different companies, and it gets so confusing so quick. I've been into supplements and stuff for a long time, but I still feel like I don't fully understand like I don't know if I need to take just a full on anatomy in chemistry course and into like human biology and just completely understand all of it. But I go through phases of doing all these different vitamins. When I was working out a lot back in the day, I would take a lot of just like whatever. Like I was not careful. I wasn't thinking about my gut lining. I wasn't thinking about like, oh, this vitamin reacting with this other pre-workout pill that I took, or if someone had a, like a diet pill and we're gonna go lift or work out, I'd be like, cool, give me one, let's do it, let's get our sweat on or whatever. And
Mm.
now I would never just like take random stuff. I'm all just like subtle. I get most of my vitamins from Athletic Greens actually. I mean, you might hear like Joe Rogan if you listen to Joe Rogan, all he advertises for them. And they're really good, man. It makes me feel pretty good. That's usually my shake that I drink before at like 4 or 5 p.m. And then that starts my fast. And that has anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, all of your regular vitamins. It's like a multivitamin in there, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, and then I supplement vitamin D as well.
That's
Um,
probably a great way to like start off. Like here's like giving your body a good kick and then, slowly like tapering off and allowing your body to like do other things
mhm.
rather than because like I mean that's kind of going back to fasting. That's like the big perk of it is that you're feeding your body all day and all of your energy is going into digestion food and not like healing a different part of your body. So
100%.
that's really smart. I've been wanting to get into collagen lately, but I'm very scared for like how it's sourced because like I hear all the great things from it, but like where is it coming from? What are these like animals going through to like give me this collagen product? And that is something that
Yeah.
really scares me and freaks me out. So to me, that's not like not worth the benefit, at least
Yeah.
yet. Not until they find like a plant-based collagen, I guess.
I mean, like you don't really want. There's something about eating food and in ingesting, nutrients, but knowing like, was this cow just tortured? As it like before his bones were melted down to give me the broth?
Oh my
Was he
gosh,
completely?
yes.
Did he have a terrible life? Like, what did he eat? What were his bones built off of? And it sounds so silly in minute, but I don't know. I think there is something to be said when you're drinking these things and you're having that conscious thought. I was eating Buffalo Wild Wings a couple weeks ago, just like a Sunday or Saturday guilty pleasure thing. I was like, I'm getting Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm gonna get a large. I'm gonna eat the whole thing. Like I'm gonna go in binge eating again. But as I was eating it, I started thinking about the chickens themselves. I started thinking about like chickens in cages, and I was annoyed because like this is how people become vegan. They start obsessing over these thoughts of like the poor animals, and I don't know. I just don't have time to become vegan right now. Honestly, it just
I
seems.
the last time we talked, I think I started going into of like how I mean, partially for dietary reasons, but also just like me being so self-conscious of like where like what is the impact that this is like having on the earth right now of like me just like consuming meat. And like I was traveling all over the country, or not all over the country, but all over the East Coast this past few weeks. And the like it was so hard to be and like keep up with being vegetarian because like I was out of my routine.
Mm,
And so like I didn't just have my like Whole Foods down the road to be able to go to like get the things I needed, but it was definitely like an extra added thought of like, oh no, where is this stuff coming from? But like I also had to dismiss it because I need to like keep my engine going.
that balance.
But we were so the group, the team, the production team I work with, we were kind of like in a morbid way, sort of laughing. We were working on this at this camp, and it's normally like a student camp, but because of like COVID, we couldn't like work in a hotel ballroom, so we had to work at this like random camp in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. I think it's like called Covington, and they have like one Target. And they have no real grocery stores. It's super sketch, but we were on a farm. And the one night we had like really nice steaks. And it was the nicest meal
Mm,
we had at this camp. The whole entire like 4 weeks we had been there. We've been there like off and on for 4 weeks. And the camp food is horrible. It's like cafeteria lunch food. But like at the entrance of the camp, it's also a farm. So they have like horses and they have cows and they have like turkeys that run around. It's kind of pretty, but it's also not. And so we were all kind of like morbidly sad because the last night was steak night. And we're all like, the cows that we've been mooing at, like as we drive into camp,
Yeah.
did one of Bertha get killed? And now
You're
we're
like, how
like
fresh is
eating.
was the steak cut?
Right. Like, where did we get this steak from? Like,
Yeah.
why is it so nice in here? And they were like huge pieces of steak. Like, I haven't been to a steakhouse and gotten this large piece of steak. And we all kind of like laughed, had a moment of silence, and then like kept eating.
I mean,
It
that's
was,
the circle of life. That's the actual. I mean, isn't that crazy? We're so disconnected from our food. I mean, all of us. It's just a normal thing. It's not that even mind blowing. But we don't think about how our food is sourced when we're eating it. It's just
no.
we're just this thing is in front of me because I ordered it off the menu, and I'm going to keep talking to my friend. But you don't really
There.
think of all the processes of that's an animal that was grown and slaughtered, and like how was it grown, what was it fed, where was it grown, what did it eat, how was it finished even. It's
Mhm.
it's
And
a
then
it's a
we're
process.
and then we're ingesting all those chemicals that they're being fed to like
Hmm.
grow at the speed they need. Yeah. I think finally people kind of got woke, as the cool kids say, to like the supply chain and like how we are sourced different stuff just by like people went to grocery stores during COVID and then like they didn't have toilet paper and they didn't understand why. But then the news started reporting on the reasons why. So people started realizing like how fragile our food supply chain is, or even just like our common goods chain of like, I mean, there were tornadoes, like land hurricanes, they called them. And then that disrupted all of our like flour supply. And then that like disrupted our bread and then a whole bunch of other things. I think finally people are realizing that.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then,
the interconnectedness of our whole world, like not just our food system, but it's it's there, and everybody knows it. But I think really as technology expands and as just our way of getting like all these exotic foods and just it's hard as everything expands to ignore like, oh wow, like this is all very connected. This is all, what I'm eating came from this other place across the world, and they got food from this other place across the world. And when a land tornado or whatever happens, then I can't. Then it affects this, and oh, the bees and the honey. And I think that if you look at flowers, for example, you don't see bugs and bees as a part of the flower, but without them, like what are the flowers, without it, it's just like our whole world is so holistic. It's all connected.
mm,
Everything is one. um but we're so disconnected because it's such a mind-blowing thought. Like it's like, wait, what do you mean? Like it's all completely all one big working mechanism. And have you seen I'm so sorry, I'm all over the place, Megan.
oh
Have,
my, it's fine. We're both hopping
cool.
around everywhere.
We'll have an ADHD conversation then. I'm all for it. Have you seen? It's a documentary on Netflix. Will Smith is the narrator of it. One Strange Rock, I think maybe.
I think I've heard of it. I haven't had time to watch it yet.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. It shows like yeah, the birth of diatoms and how from the rain washing over the rocks in the Amazon rainforest, it creates this, which creates oxygen, which creates like it like shows you from the beginning of how like where our breath comes from, where our oxygen, where our CO2, all these things, how they're born, and how the certain windstorms in the Amazon and birds eating certain seeds and then shitting on different sides of the planet cause like the good things that happen in our atmosphere. And it's super good.
It sounds like something that would be up my jam. Yeah.
Yeah, you would dig it. And it's visually beautiful too. I mean, what our cameras nowadays, obviously, like this very well, our cameras nowadays can give us these phenomenal visual experiences. And then you have like Will Smith narrating it, and whoever wrote it is just a genius too. So it's good. One Strange Rock, I think, is what it's called.
That's great. No, I'll check that out. Kind of going along the same thing, something I want to bring up. You mentioned bees, and there was someone I was briefly reading an article. I didn't have time to dive into it as much as I wanted to, but they're recently like moving bees out of one area and they're transporting all these like hives into like California.
Mm.
So that way they're able to like pollinate the stuff that they need to more because people are like having a higher demand for like almond milk and other things that have a high need to be pollinated in order to grow. and people aren't thinking like, oh, we need bees in order to do this, to make our food, to make the other things that you want. And so we're having to like move nature around just to like make it all work, because it's not doing itself fast enough to the speed that we need it right now.
Right.
Terrifying, but also really cool, but
Yeah,
terrifying.
it is cool. I mean, it makes sense that we're at a point where we're going to, as we're one large worldwide ecosystem, we also, you know, we need to, just like we make our own communities and we're also a nation, like we almost need to make our own miniature ecosystems so we can slow down the supply chain. Like if we can, you know, if you're typically waiting on this product or this thing that's crucial for your agriculture from China or some other country or something, if there's a way that you could make it to where it's completely self-sustainable within your state, you can provide jobs that way. You can provide, you know, quicker transportation. You make it all right there. It's like having your whole production company in house. You know, it's like,
Yeah, I think people also like I said, people were worried about it as like a nation scare here in America with like early days of COVID and us not getting the things we need. But now the whole entire world just sort of woke up to the idea as well, because one ship got stuck in like the canal in Egypt. I'm not sure if you saw that on the news. It's
mm-mm.
been stuck there for a week, and like it hit high
What's
winds,
on the
and
ship? What like what's
it's like this, the ship is like the size of the Empire State Building, and it's just a cargo ship. Like we're not privy to know like what's on it right now, because it was like private. I'm surprised you haven't seen this. It's been all over like everywhere.
I know I
Um,
avoid most news and social
no,
media right now.
that's smart. So I forget the name of the ship, but it's like stuck in Egypt right now. Or it actually got unstuck, spoiler alert. But it was going through the canal that like all the ships go through to like import and export stuff. And then it hit like 40-mile-per-hour winds, and then it
Oh,
turned. And so it blocked the whole entire canal, and it has like stopped our whole entire cargo and
so it's like
import
wedged.
export. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
what?
like it has stopped our whole entire import and export of like all the countries. And so like all these ships are just built up, and it just got freed this morning. But they are currently having to like figure out how to prioritize what ships can go past the canal first and
Right.
then last. And they're saying that it's going to like completely like change our economic system for a few months to a few years, because it was costing $400 million an hour with this like ship being stuck there,
What?
and
That's
all of
so
the other
crazy.
ships were like stuck. And then I think because of all the agriculture ships that were there, they like ran out of supplies to like take care of the animals that were like in those cargo ships.
Mm,
Um, that they're like prioritizing those so that way they can like park and like feed the animals or whatever they need to
right.
do. And then
And think about how
was
much food in products are probably rotting and expiring. You know, there's
so
probably a lot of refrigeration sort of
oh yeah.
situations on those some of
But
those ships.
here's a photo of the ship that's just like chilling in the canal and is completely stuck because it's like lodged with mud. And so so many people are like
Wow.
trying to come up with ideas of like how to move it, but they just can't move it. So they had to like just start digging it out with these like small little diggers. And then people were laughing at the fact of like, all right, we have this small little like construction digger thing, and it's like trying to move this ship that's like the size of the Empire State Building. But that wasn't the case. They were just trying to like dig out the mud so that way they could
Yeah.
like tug it one way and the other.
Yeah, just get
But
it
like,
straight so then it could go.
but yeah, but it halted all of our import and export. So like this will probably change the fashion industry for a while. It might change like toilet paper again and paper towels, and like cause
Mm.
everything to be a little bit more expensive. But like you and I will probably only see it on like a minute level. But
I mean,
like
I need all my organic stuff, man. They better not slow that down.
no, I don't think that's coming from China. If it well, no, probably not on your side of the country. It's coming from China.
Yeah, that's farther. Wow, that's intense. They should have hired us. They should have hired a good production company who works good under pressure.
Oh my gosh,
like
those were my
like
favorite memes during like COVID of like, hey, why don't we just hire production companies to like manage the testing sites? Like it'd be done in a week, and then they'd be out and cleared and COVID would be completely gone.
yeah, we'll get in. You just tell us what to do. We'll get in there. We'll set it up. We'll
Yeah.
run the whole thing. It'll go really quick. We're really good on our feet. We're really good at live troubleshooting, and then we'll just take it down in a half a day, and you'll not see a trace of us.
Yeah, it'll
Just send
be
us our checks.
cheaper. People will be entertained, you know.
Yeah, right.
It'll be a great time.
We'll fly in Pitbull.
Yeah, he'll
He'll
be on
just
like a little stage.
as people are getting vaccinated, Mr. Worldwide is just performing in concert.
Oh my gosh. That
You
could
would hire
totally
Kid
have some.
Rock.
It was so the hotel that we were at this past week for the show was really weird because it was just like students and like, you know, like 11 students, I guess, and then us as a production team, and then all these military people. And it's
Mm,
because right across the street was like a FEMA site for COVID tests and COVID vaccines. So
mm,
they had like all the military people just like living in our hotel, and that felt a little weird being because like you're normally in a hotel and it's just like vacationers and stuff, but then you have
right.
like all these like very sharp, like proper walking military people. And it's like, how serious is this? And we're just like having our like little show downstairs.
You're like, can I wear jeans in the lobby, or is
Right.
this less casual?
The line at the coffee shop would also be like crazy long because they all had like vouchers to get their breakfast. I guess that's like how
Right.
they were supplying all their food for the military people. That was a little weird. Anyway, we are all over the place on this conversation. We have
Oh
like
no, that's fine.
derailed.
Honestly, dude, people get it. Like, if people are still listening, this is like my like almost 75th episode, so I feel like at this point,
Wow.
people get
That's
that I have
crazy.
ADHD. Yeah, it's quite a few. It's interesting. I wonder, like, if COVID didn't happen, I feel like I'd be at like 150 if COVID didn't happen, because I
You-
mean, I had the old studio and I had people coming in. Um, but I don't know. I am growing to like Zoom. You know, I like having the video done for me is nice too. And I didn't think that I would be able to connect with people as well as I do on here. Like, I thought as soon as it went to, or as soon as we went to COVID and then like people are going to Zoom, I was like, there's no way that I could hold my attention for that long. There's no way that I can like connect with people and like really get their vibe. But honestly, it's worked out way better than I thought so far. I've had some really good conversations on Zoom.
I think it would be, I think we've been able to connect more people together because of like
Hmm.
Zoom and stuff. Like you and I wouldn't be sitting together like having a podcast unless I
Right.
came over to your side of the country. You
Yeah.
know, I'm sitting here in Florida, and then like we wouldn't have had like an in-person uh podcast session, or even like Abrielle or Tyler.
Uh-huh.
Like you've been able to connect with so many more people.
Yeah, yeah. I think it challenges me too to, because like starting the podcast, um, I was I was very aware of, like, hey, I'm not like a qualified news reporter. Like, I haven't been doing something like this for a long time. I'm comfortable with a mic in my hand. I've done stage work. I've done DJ stuff. I've done acting stuff. But I'm not. I mean, podcasting, talking for 3-4 hours at a time sometimes is a skill that kind of needs built up. So at the beginning, I pretty much had, you know, I'm friends with a lot of people, like a lot of really cool people, and so I was able to just hit these people up who lived in my same hometown, who are, it's just me talking to my friend, but I can bring them on and kind of like dig into their story and like show other people what I already know is really cool about them. So it was like a very comfortable start for me. I think I'm going to be, as I continue to do this over the years or whatever I end up doing, I'm going to be very grateful for my first, like 50 episodes for sure, 60 episodes, because it was a lot of my friends willing to come on here and kind of let me just blab my way through and try to like be a good host and learn what being a host is about. And so
Mhm.
now I'm just getting better and more comfortable with new people, and I'll get kind of random emails, or like a podcast agent will reach out to me to connect me to somebody else. And now I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I don't know, I have never met this person, but I think that'd be a good conversation. Let's do it. So
Yeah, then you can learn more about people. I think
yeah.
I was having a conversation with one of our announcer people that our production company we hire, and him and I we have like very different views on a lot of different things, and a lot of people were mentioned like how they were intimidated of like him coming even in like our little pod on set, just because like he is very vocal about his opposite like political views and like world
Mm.
views and stuff. And for me, I was like, him and I are really good friends. And so like I see the stuff too. Like I'm not gonna let that change like my opinion on that person. But I really wanted to sit down while we were on a show and like conversate with that person, just so that way I could like understand why he believed all the things that he did, and like his viewpoint on all of these like worldly things. And then like I could like grow on that side. And we like sat down, we talked for a few hours, we
Oh,
like
really?
sort of laid it all out. Oh yeah. It was
Did
like
you
one
guys
evening after
connect? Like, did you
show.
see eye to eye?
uh I
Or
think we just like respected each other's opinion. Like we were
mm,
very open about like each other's opinion on like how different both of us were of certain things, and like we
Right.
were both very adult, and like we didn't allow it to be like too personal, but we both like just explained to each other why we had these opinions on this sort of like side of it. And I think somehow we both sort of come closer to like a middle ground point, because I understood a lot more of like, because of, he was in a California state, and they're like super, panoramic conscious, call it panoramic. That's what the cool kids call it now. Um, but they're like giving people tickets for being out in the street and like not wearing masks and stuff. And then like I'm here in Florida where it's like open gates, and so like him and I were able to like kind of come more to like a middle ground of like, this is maybe a different idea of like common things. But like what I'm trying to get at is, I think it's like the greatest benefit of like you having a podcast is like you get to be exposed to more people that like have different thoughts and are like have
Mhm.
grown in different ways. And like just being like a little person that like lives in your house, you don't always have those like abilities to like meet all of those people. But like people can, I believe people grow by talking from and with other people, and like enjoying their experiences. And then you get to like learn about a whole different life that like someone else is living, and like the things that they've learned, and then try to apply it to their life. But
Mhm.
so many people are like closed-minded from trying to do that and like wanting to have conversations, because they like just try and like throw their opinions and views on other people, and they're so like stuck in the mud on those ideas that they can't like change. But
Right.
people need to be open and like learn from them.
Yeah, I mean, that's super cool that you guys sat down and just had like an open conversation, knowing you went into it knowing we have differing beliefs,
Oh, it was
but
great.
like, but you also outside of those beliefs, like if the politics or the COVID situation wasn't around, it's like someone that you get along with just fine.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I respect you just as a person. We've always had great conversation. We've always had nice interactions. We've been kind of friends or whatever. So, but there is this side that I think that we have differing beliefs on, and for you to be able to say, "I respect you, but I would love to have this conversation," and then him to also reciprocate, that's so cool, and
Oh,
that's
it
what the
was
world
great.
needs so much. Like that's the power of conversation. It's I mean, it's literally what we are as humanity. Like if we didn't have language, if we didn't talk through things, if we didn't work together, find ways to vocally work together so we can physically work together and create things and create society and build skyscrapers and whatever. I mean, this wouldn't work if we didn't have
Mm-mm.
conversation. So I think that in our very divided world we have here, with I think a lot of us sitting in our homes, not talking to a lot of people, not reaching out to different
And
people
just
across the country.
scrolling.
Yeah, we're literally getting our view of how the world is painted by news media. It's painted by these are companies. Let's say 6 companies who own all these major news sites. Not to mention all the alternative media on YouTube and stuff. But there's our view of other people or people of differing beliefs is painted for us. And so we're kind of left up to like, hey, that doesn't seem I don't agree with what that person says, but then we're kind of left up to how do we handle that in real life? If you, so you're able to say, hey, I know that you're a person who has different beliefs than me, but I know that, but because I know you, I know that doesn't mean that you hate all these people, or you're blue so you hate all the red or whatever. What do you really mean here? And that alone, just saying, hey, what do you think about this? And having someone with their physical presence or even over a Zoom call, they're there. You can hear their vocal tonality. You can hear their cadence. It's not typed up. It's not presented in this tricky way to make you an enemy or a bad other. It's important. Conversation is one of the most important tools that we have for keeping our sanity as humanity.
Yeah, and even like you saying that, like, oh, we only have like six, a certain amount of like news sites that are all like pumping us our information. Like a lot of people are also getting their information off social media, and the social media is like creating an algorithm, and they know what you're gonna click on, and they know what is gonna like get you going to like get a view. And so you were also all being just painted the like the dialogue that like our social media channels also think that we want to see. So then that
Mhm.
becomes like our alternative juice.
Right.
My mom and I, who like, I mean, we, I was raised by her. So obviously I would have similar or a greater understanding of like her beliefs because of that. We both like follow similar news channels and stuff on social media, and she was being painted one picture of like certain situations of, a lot of stuff that was going on last summer. And then my social media, also like, an age difference, I was being painted a completely different sort of like dialogue on social media. So the two of us, I was like, no, that's not quite right. That's not what I had seen. And so like we would have to like sit there with like our receipts and like try and figure out, what our truths were,
Yeah.
like our understanding of what was actually happening. So, but like again, if all these people that are just stuck sitting at home right now and not having these like Zoom calls or like, calling up people and being willing to like talk about hard, just, topics without becoming upset with that other person, like we all become just like whatever our phones sort of are and like whatever our phones are telling us, which is sort of like a lot of the heat of a lot of the issues that are going on right now. And
100%.
like all the anger, so much anger.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's because we're meeting people. Okay, so like, we've worked together quite a few times. We've been friends for quite a few years. I like what like if you knew. Okay, how do I paint this? Essentially, we're meeting people at their worst traits. Like where a picture is being painted about someone, and so when you see, you know, like we all have an uncle who we love, but he's kind of a dick,
Mm-hmm.
or your grandpa, he's just old fashioned. Like he says some things that you'd be like, Grandpa, you can't say that shit, but you know him, you love him, he has good intentions, and you don't think all he is just this political side. He's just, team red or team blue or whatever it is, but the news media kind of makes us meet people there first, not you're my grandpa or you're my friend. You're a person that I know. Here's the things that I like about you. Hey, and then also like, so, oh, okay, so we do have differing opinions on that, whatever, that's healthy. But what the news does and what it makes us accidentally do, because we're all in this fear response, right? Our brainstem is activated. We immediately seeing new people, meeting new people, or even our old friends. Facebook is a war nowadays, um, where we now meet them at their worst traits. So
Mm-hmm.
like if you liked me, but the first time you meet me, you have to read a 5-minute list of every bad thing I've ever done. Like, what? That's not how
Mm-hmm.
you meet a person, because we're so much more intricate than that. I think what we have in each moment is who we show up as in the moment. Like if you can be kind, if you can listen, if you can, police yourself in a way and try to watch your emotions, and you could have very differing opinions and have a long, beautiful, respectable conversation with the person across from you.
Right. And then both will like come out hopefully learning something about not only the other person, but also just like how the other person has lived and like how people are out there living and what their struggles are.
hmm
Yeah, I
have
think
have you always been like open and reciprocal to, like new ideas, like wanting to, I mean, because it's unusual. Not a lot of people would know, oh, this person that I work with has very different opinions of me. Most of the time it's kind of an awkward, or maybe you avoid it or you don't say anything or whatever, but you're like, I want to talk to him. Like, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's see what our differences are. That's an unusual trait to have.
I
Have you
think
always
it's
had that?
I think only with the right people, because like I could
Mm.
probably count on like within my two hands of like the amount of people that I can have a healthy conversation with. And I think a lot of it is built on the amount that like I know that person and know that like, okay, by me talking with this person, I know that like I'm in safe spaces and this person isn't gonna like hate me, or like if an employer is gonna like ban me or something because like I want to have this conversation with someone. So I think it's like only if I know that like that person could have that conversation with me as well, and that we both gonna like walk away from it like the same way that we, not the same way, but like have the same relationship as we did going into it. And I think
Mhm.
finding those people are extremely rare. I don't, but those are also some of my favorite people to talk to because we could
Yeah,
probably talk for hours and then
yeah.
just like go on about all the worldly things. And then like I learn and they learn, and it's really cool. Those are special relationships to have with those people.
Yeah,
So
yes, because you get to meet you again. You meet on the level of I respect you already. Like I know you're not gonna. I'm not gonna have this conversation. You're gonna try to rip me apart or be
right,
disrespectful to me. You know.
right. Like, is it going to be an argument or an actual conversation?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I mean, my mom and I, like, we'll even just start arguing. Like, there's a lot of times where it's like, hey, mom, we can't, we're not talking politics. Like, we can't do it. And it's like, you know, I think it's also like the nature of the energy that you bring to the conversation.
Hmm.
So some people seem very, on social media, they'll seem very like angry, but like, I know that person in real life. So it's like, I don't think that person's actually that angry. What's up? I don't know. I want to
Right.
talk with them. It was great.
Yeah, I like that example. I have a couple friends who I would say, I mean, even me actually probably like I probably come off pretty intense on social media. Some of the things that I write out, but I have friends that they like. Well, if I didn't know them outside of social media, I would be scrolling and be like, that guy's a prick. You know, like because they'll just say they're very obtuse or very but I think that kind of speaks to the nature of social media, right? We're all kind of like bantering and we're all kind of pandering to our group in unconscious ways, or like what we post and what we say is very policed by us. You know, we're very tiptoeing because we're not trying to have the arguments, but some people are like full on fuck you if you think this like full on just I'm gonna post everything, and if and my enemies will show their faces, which is man. So I think overall social media, we just don't really know how we can't understand how different social media interaction is from actual face to face listening to someone's voice, seeing
Oh, it's
their eyes.
crazy because it's just a filter. Like, I hate to use the word filter, but like it is a filtered version of all of us. It's either the like really pretty stuff or the like very vocal, like trying to be an activist sort of a
Hmm.
thing. And I love watching social media documentaries and talking about like how is this just like disrupting all of us as people? Because like we all used to be very like community, like whatever our social network, right, was everything that was like in our like demographic, like everything that was a few miles away, or like always seeing the same people at the supermarket. And like that's how you interacted with people. And like growing up in Pittsburgh, up in Pennsylvania, like that's how our town was. It was very like very small. Everybody knew everybody. Like everybody sat at the same pew in church and stuff. And then like move into Florida, a completely different world, but like people were just not as connected. And then I was growing up with social media, and then that's like just how everybody connected. So like the kids that are growing up now, that's their only way that they're connected, and they're growing up from parents that are our generation that mainly connect with their other friends and stuff through social media. What are their like social skills going to be like how are we just completely disrupting like human species with this
Mm,
like internet capability? It's
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, totally. I think because I think I've done a lot in the last couple of years. I've done a lot of, studying and like kind of just diving into, um, even things like confidence and like, how you, okay, so people being on their phones and not having face to face conversations. Like me, when I was younger, growing up, I'm naturally a more introverted person, but just life circumstances, I kind of had to learn how to like, all right, I need to fit in this situation. So I started watching people. I start like, okay, that's how that person reacts. That's okay. Is that person standing like this? All right. You're looking at like the hierarchy of how social interactions work.
Oh
And
my
that's kind of
gosh, I
like
do
how
this all the time. I feel so
yeah.
like, okay, keep going.
Do
I
you
love
also do
this.
this? Like you're observant of
Yes.
how other people, yeah, hey, you could be a DJ. Um, but it's, yeah, all these skills that they were difficult and they were uncomfortable for me. And especially, when I turned 15, 16, I remember going into the clothing store that I first worked at when I turned 16, and I would go in and I convinced the manager to let me pretend that I worked there so I could sell to people because I wanted a job there like in a few months. So forcing myself out of my comfort zone, like that wasn't it might have like seemed natural because I was very confident in that in myself because I had been like studying people in a way. But having those social skills to go up to someone and start selling to them and talking to a complete stranger nowadays, not there's a lot of younger generation who don't have that. Like it's nerve-wracking for them, because they're so used to their life. And this is not an insult. This is not like, this is just noticing there is huge differences in the way that our generation, like we're not even like we're around the age 30, like we're not even that old,
And just these younger kids now, they have a completely different view of reality. And we even grew up with some sort of social media. So there's a lot of, if you're depressed, for example, like Megan, if I was asking you, if I said, if I was describing a depressed person, what would their shoulders be like? Like, what would they be? Maybe slumped over? Would they be kind of like forward a little bit? Maybe you picture someone with a hood on. They're just, it's like, oh, I'm kind of depressed. I'm feeling under the weather. You're not open. Your chest isn't open. But if you're confident, your shoulders are back, your chest is open. This actually releases serotonin throughout your body. Lobsters, for example, the highest lobster in the hierarchy is the one who has the most upright posture, and he rises to the top of the tank. But so we've done experiments with like serotonin and SSRI inhibitors and antidepressants and stuff with lobsters to like kind of like prove a lot of our social hierarchy has a lot to do with our depression and our like anxieties and those sorts of things. So what I think what I'm rounding about is I think that we're going to have many negative social aspects that affect the individual on a biochemical level from having just interaction through our phones.
Yeah.
Just not being able to conversate or talk with people or respond when someone approaches you without getting extreme social anxiety. And again, these are nothing to be ashamed of. This is social anxiety is something a lot of people go through. It's going to be in the next 10 years, like millions of people are going to have real serious hurdles to overcome with social anxiety and, lack of confidence in physical interactions.
Right, but like even something you just said just sort of like scared me in a way, because you said, what does a depressed person look like? But we also live in a world where like we can mask that so easily. Like we go out and, when we are in person, like we have to like appear happy because we're at work or something, or it's like almost not okay to like seem sad or something because that's so jarring to so many people. Whereas also on social media, we're able to just like post a photo of us like looking happy for a few seconds. And then again, we all appear happy. So like that's even more triggering and a deeper thought of like, what does a depressed person look like anymore? Because we don't always see people in their like truest form that they're actually giving off.
That's so true. Yeah. I mean, so it's going to be up to us as individuals to notice like, oh man, my shoulders are slumped forward. Like I'm kind of giving into this meh. I'm not open and open to receiving the conversation that's coming at me. And it is interesting thinking, like if you were to bring your top 10 friends on that you have on social media that you like kind of interact with, you like their pictures, whatever, you just have interaction with them. If you had to think of your top 10 friends, you'd probably say, oh, they're doing pretty good. I just saw them. Oh yeah. Ashley just got a new house. Sarah just posted this photo with her and her family. It's great. But at this moment you could, that maybe was 5 days ago or something. At this moment, they could be extremely depressed. They could be eating their second thing of ice cream because they're really feeling some self-shame. They maybe they're sad. Maybe they're going through a breakup. Like there's so many. Humans are so complicated, but there's something about social media that paints it to where it's like, oh, I'm saying I'm all good. I'm perfect. I'm all good. And we read it kind of like that. I think we do that with famous people too. We see them on social media or on their life, and we're like, oh, what do you have to complain about? You're in a fucking mansion. But I mean, they're real people, and they have emotions too. They might literally deal with extreme depression, but they're trying to make sure their avatar, their image that's given to the world is that same person because they have a career to take care of. And
oh my gosh, that rolls like right into like cancel culture too, because like, some people's whole entire world is like just uploading content on the internet. And then as soon as like a cancel culture moment happens, or if they like pull out, like it's extremely noticed, or they start to like fall back into it. That's also a really interesting concept.
yeah, I mean, what a split in our psyche for real. What do you think about cancel culture? I was planning on having my friend Spencer, who I've done a couple like more serious, like, hey, the world is losing its mind. Let's try to get to the bottom of why sort of conversations. We are going to have a cancel culture conversation, and I think that him and I actually are on differing sides. I think cancel culture is crap, and he thinks that it's like an important thing, but he's also very intelligent, so I'm gonna of course listen to everything he has to say, and I love having the conversations with him. But what's your views on cancel culture? Like, what do you think about
So I
it?
guess I side more with you because I also think it's kind of crap.
It's trash.
Just because a great something I've been following very closely, and like maybe trigger warning here, but is like David Dobrik. I'm not sure if you've been in the news with him, but he's
No,
part
you
of
gotta
the like
explain.
he's part of the Vlog Squad, which is like this. It was kind of like an internet house before it was an internet house, and an internet house is where it's like a creator place where like a group of creators sort of all like join together, and they're all creating stuff on their separate channels, but then they're also creating stuff on like a larger channel.
Dope.
So David Dobrik, he's a young person. I think he's like 22, maybe 23. He's very young. He has a large mansion, and he sort of came out from the bottom. He started off as like a Viner, and then he's like just sort of grown up from there, and also like really grown up with social media. Well, turns out a few years ago, one person that was in the very early days of the Vlog Squad took advantage of a female, and they sort of like made that a video. And he's known for making really short, like 4 minute and 20-second long videos that get uploaded to YouTube. And then that's sort of like, David's vlogs. So she just recently wrote a letter about how somebody else that was in the Vlog Squad that is no longer in the Vlog Squad because he no longer wants to associate himself with that sort of person. And he was known as, I think his name was Dirty Dave, something along those lines was the name of this guy. Like he was very not okay even in the early days of the internet, because like early days internet was sort of like raunchy, very,
Wild West, yeah.
yeah, sexual, racist in a lot of ways as well. But because of all of this, David has, and again, he's like completely changed his platform. He's very big about making sure that everybody in his videos are like consenting to the video that they're uploading or that he's uploading. He has like everybody watch it before he pushes play or pushes upload. And like it's completely wrecking his whole entire life because this woman said that she was taken advantage by a former member of Vlog Squad, and he's lost all of his sponsorships. Like he was part of like HelloFresh and a few other ones. SeatGeek, I think, even had to like make a statement about it. He's no longer doing his podcast. He's lost his reality show that he was hosting. Like he was on the train to be like the next like Jimmy Fallon or something like that. And that's what he wanted to do. And now his whole entire life is just like wrecked because of like something that somebody else did that was like olden days,
Dude.
David. And it's like, that is not okay. Like you are now wrecking, like, and it's not even the letter that was originally written in the article that the girl had, made public. It's like it's now all the fans are like taking upon themselves to wreck this successful person's life, and it's like that's their career, that's a whole bunch of other people's jobs, and you're just like turning it upside down, and it's
Dude.
like,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
someone's livelihood, man. That's someone's job. Like that you don't
Mhm.
dude, we're doing this weird thing, you know. I had in my conversation with Abrielle, I was talking about this WWE reality that we're feeding into. And it's like this overlay of we're almost, instead of believing what we actually believe, or like wondering like, oh, okay, like what do I really think about that, and really giving it a few minutes to contemplate like, oh, okay, I know people who have done weird things. I know people who have that I don't affiliate with anymore, who have done things, or I've done things in the past that I'm not proud of, but like I don't do them anymore because I learn. That's what humans do. We grow and we learn, and we get more mature as we age. But I think that I wonder if what we're doing a lot with social media in a very unconscious way is we're signaling, like all of his fans, all of the companies who are dropping, they're basically signaling like, hey, we don't condone that. That's what we're like, this is what we're saying by dropping in, is we don't condone that. When realistically we should, maybe we don't have to just skip over these things. Maybe this could have been like a one very serious day of press release for him and his team to be like, listen, here's the situation from our perspective. Here's what happened. Here's what we do now. Here's how we approach things differently because we've grown, because that's what humans do. Okay?
Mhm.
Now let's stop talking about it. If you want to be my fan, be my fan. Let's go. If not, like, I respect your right to leave. It needs to, we need to, our problem solving. I mean, what if we did this in real life? Like, what if we're all working a show, we're on a week-long show, and one of the days you come because you've had a bad day and you maybe you're not in a bad or in a good mood, and you kind of like snap on someone. What if we all get together and we're like, Megan, you need to go over there. We're going to have this conversation to talk about your future. And we all just decide like, hey, we don't condone people being aggressive. So to prove that, we need to fire Megan, and we need to call all of her future employers, and we need to burn her, and we need to shake a shame stick at her to make sure nobody else ever likes her ever again.
And we need to make
doesn't
public
make sense.
statements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even making public statements is something that, like, should we have to do it just because someone brings up something from our past? I mean, I just don't, I think it's the most waste of time bullshit ever is what I think. I think, okay, so what would you say are some benefits? Is there any benefits to cancel culture? Like this situation with him, with David or whatever, that seems like completely nonsense, but.
Yeah. And he's like, I mean, he's related to it, but like, I don't know. I've seen it so much within the last like 5 or 6 years. And like, I hate to say it, but like cancel culture sort of started when the whole entire like Me Too movement was really pushing through. And that can get on a different topic. But the like so many people are so quick that they are angered at a person and then will make, I mean, in this case, in David's case, the accusations, I mean, there's video proof, are very true, but it's not even against David. It's just old people he was associated with. But anytime someone's like even angry at somebody, they'll make all these like false claims and then like try and go public with it or start tweeting and using social media as like a platform to like try and cancel people. And I think like if you are actually a bad person, those are the things that do need to shine through. But it's again, cancel culture is just a way of like trying to get a whole bunch of people to turn against these people. And then it turns out that they don't get the update when it's like, okay, this person's name was cleared. Like these people are never with anyone. The host of the Talking Dead, I'm really bad with names, so I forget it. He, during the Talking Dead host, I gotta Google this because I need to know the name. Chris Hardwick is his name. And he was host of Talking Dead, and he was doing a few other things as well. And someone came out and made all these like false accusations of him. And right then and there, he lost 4 of his main TV show deals. Like no one even like took a thought of like checking in with the other person to like, hey man, like what's up? It was real quick of like, we're just going to drop you across the board. His wife was even like, I don't think this is possible. Like she had to make statements for it. And then it came out that, cause like he's known as like a good guy, at least publicly, that yeah, the lady was lying, and then you know he was fine, he got all of his deals back. But like how many people didn't get that update because they weren't in the like height of the moment when it was cancel
so
culture,
many followers,
right?
sure.
And so it never comes back of like, oh okay, this person's like okay again, like continue to follow them. Because again, like we only know what the internet versions of these people are. Like these people are so famous that they're almost like unreachable, that we don't get a moment to actually know who they are and their character, only what is posted. And so when cancel culture starts to arise, and then we don't like, we only know the like face value of all these people. So then we like wait to see if these people are actually like who they sold themselves to be, which is I think the like root of cancel culture.
Right. I mean, I think that's a huge part that you're saying, though, is I feel like the initial breaking story is the biggest deal. I mean, what you first hear, I mean, suddenly, you know, if there's like the David thing, I'm sure a lot more people know about the breaking news, like, oh, he's associated with this, blah, blah, and that'll stick in their heads. Like people who don't care about him or like don't know about him or like don't really watch him, whatever. In 2 months, as like he casually comes up in a conversation, they might be like, oh yeah, wasn't he involved with some girl years ago or whatever? You know, that's the thing that we remember. The breaking news story, the first thing, often the lie to sell clicks or to sell, you know, like let's ruin this person's life so we can have 5 days of fame for this other person or whatever. Because our attention span. Like, because when I read something like that, I'm not going to set an alarm on my phone to be like, all right, let's make sure I'm going to check this story in 5 days to make sure that it wasn't disproved wrong so I can change my internal opinion. We don't have time for that. Like, we're just consuming so much new stuff. I mean, a week later, we're on to the next thing, and now we've just kind of had that one little memory of that whole person. And it's not fair to those people. It's not fair for them to have their whole, you know, projected life really, to just be suddenly cut off, the head cut off. He lost all of his sponsors and stuff because of an accusation, or it's
Right.
and also I think we have to look at podcasts and this this connectivity, like the fact that we're able to connect. I mean, you're in Florida, I'm in Washington right now. That's pretty profound. We're already just super used to it. That stuff helps us grow as humans. Like every conversation that I have, I become more mature. Every interaction that I have, and as I grow as a man, I change and I develop in different ways. So in an interview, if someone's like tries to catch me off guard, or they try to come at me, or they try to cancel me or whatever, like here's the thing that happened to you, or here's the thing you said, or here's the thing you did this many years ago, I'll probably just be like, yeah, I don't owe you an explanation, but let's talk about it. Here's that's who I was back then, and here's why, and here's the troubles that I had. But who I am today is this, because we have to have room for growth as individuals, as adults, because that's literally what humans do. We're here to grow and evolve and learn through experience. And I'm not trying, there is shitty people who have done shitty things, who have totally false, repentance and false, they don't feel bad, or they haven't actually learned from their mistakes, or whatever it is that exist. But I don't know, cancel culture is just garbage, dude.
Right. And it always seems to like trigger at a certain time. So like this kid's like 23. So like, I mean, he was probably 19, 20 when this vlog went out, because it was 2 or 3 years ago. And it's like he just made it. Like he just got like hosting status of the TV show. He just bought a $19 million house. And it's always like whenever a certain rise or like point of fame hits, that all of a sudden it seems to like crumble, because like someone that you were associated years ago with like did something, and then a person decides to like come out and just like he found out about this whole entire claim the same moment that the rest of the world did, because this Hannah girl, I'm not sure if that's her real name or that's the name she's going by, like decided to go to a news organization that of course would love a David Dobrik story, because he's very like hot in the internet world right now, and then just decided to probably got like a payout for it, even to write this news article and then go public with it. But like, I mean, again, this is like edging on other topics. Like it sounds like something that needed to have been done privately. Like, yes, like, go after this person, they did something to you that you now feel the need to do something against, but like go after Dirty Dave or Dirty Dan. Don't go after like David Dobrik. He really didn't do anything.
Yeah, you're coming after David Dobrik because he now has something that you can take.
Right.
I mean, I think Hannah's peanut butter and jealous. I think that's what's going on. She's like, I don't have much. I'm just working at KFC. Like, I don't have a mansion. And I remember this thing that's upsetting me. It's been upsetting me. That guy was involved. He was there. He was around. He knows the guy that hurt me. It's just the incorrect way. You're right. It's the incorrect way to go about it.
Like her feelings and her claims are very valid, but it's just like now the fans are all like, cancel. He has like a clickbait hoodie, and so it's like cancel like clickbait, and like cancel the podcast and go after all these other people. And it's like not a lot of people have other claims. It's not like Tiger Woods, who's like coming out and has like a laundry list of like claims going after people to like prove the character of this person. Like David did nothing. But yeah, cancel culture like upsets me a lot, because then this like creator that I really like and like has really good content, and then there's a lot of different people all of a sudden is just like destroyed and can't even make content anymore, because like they can't afford to stop whatever other income that they have coming in to go back and creating videos or like creating whatever content they were making, because like we destroyed their life.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's really.
No.
Did you hear about the Ellen DeGeneres cancel thing? It was like a little bit ago. So I don't know a ton about it. So if I misspeak or I'm misinformed, definitely correct me if you know more. But so my understanding is that she was like, because her image, the character that we see as Ellen, because just like Dwayne The Rock Johnson is not The Rock at all times, like he's playing a character when he's on stage, Ellen has like, she shows up as this very genuine, sweet person, and she's very kind and she's very giving. Her show has done so much good. She's helped so many people, given thousands, millions of dollars, helped crazy amounts of animals. Like Ellen has done a lot of good. And then she was about to be canceled, or starting to be canceled, because she snapped at like someone backstage, or she was kind of rude to someone. And it's like, hold up. Do you have any idea what humans are? Like, have you ever been rude to someone? Oh, you have? That's because you're a person. So is Ellen DeGeneres. Like, she can't be on all the time. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like to me, when I saw that story, I remember because I really like Ellen DeGeneres. I feel like as a host, I kind of like halfway study her. I think the way she interacts with humans is she's very
Also,
good with
like
people.
what she's done to like change the like image of LGBT community in the public eyes,
Oh,
like very
100%.
applauds. I love it. But yeah.
I mean, way back in the day when she was a comedian, like when she came out as a lesbian woman, like that was one of those things where like back then it was not okay, and like she got dropped from a bunch of stuff, and she like had to basically restart her life over and like re-dig herself up as that from her career at that point. I mean,
Hmm.
she's a legend and she's done so much good. To me, I don't understand how does all the good that she's done, how does that not like balance out like, oh, she was really mean, and so all of a sudden it cancels all that good. Like, fuck
Right.
all those animals she saved, fuck all those millions of dollars that she donated to these people, all the people that she's made feel genuine joy. Like, that doesn't matter. That has no balance to weigh against the fact that she yelled at me in that meeting
Because
yesterday.
of workplace issues, which like we've had bosses that like suck as business people,
Yeah.
but are like really good humans like when you get to know them. And it's just like if you they're like Ellen is running around as a company and as a as a manager of in a sense of like her whole entire image really. And yeah, you're gonna catch her at moments or like get caught at the wrong moment with like a production assistant and she's just angry because of like something else that's going on. Again with Elena, that the reason why she was like getting canceled in that moment was because it was an image thing. She does do so many good things, but then to find out from a few people that like their workplace environment isn't 100%. But I think, I mean, that could have gone real south real quick, Ellen's thing, but I think she handled that in a way. And she was also caught up in that limelight when that was again a really hot topic, was to destroy
Mhm.
people in like workplace and sort of claims. But yeah, as you said, she's a human. That was a work situation where she yells at managers. Like a lot's on the line. Like she has a lot of jobs that she has to like keep up for people.
Yeah, no doubt. And it just seems like, just because her show's public doesn't mean that all her dirty laundry should be public, you know?
Right.
Like that's another thing. I think that should have stayed internal. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, again, like I don't know the details, and like maybe Ellen said some like really mean shit, or she like was continuously mean to people. And maybe that means like keep it internal and you say, you point it out to Ellen or somebody. I don't know. There's so many different things that could happen than the person who's disgruntled tries to tear down the person with the fame and recognition, and like, oh, because I know them, I know who they really are. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a real sentence, you dick. That's that's not how people work. People have bad days. People do bad things. Like, people have to stumble over some stuff once in a while so they can learn to look out for it in the future. We've got to have room to grow. And I'm not making excuses. Like, like that doesn't mean you could do shitty stuff and say you're sorry afterwards and it's all good. That's not how
Right.
life works either. But it just seems so, to me, with the cancel culture stuff. I remember watching Ellen's apology for it, and I was on the other. I'm just watching it, going like, what? Why is she doing this? Like, don't waste your time. I feel like we should ignore this stuff. I feel like we should just stop, because it gets us. We see it and we're like, oh, Ellen did this. Oh, wow. But I want to stop even like feeding into that. I want to be like, that's probably untrue, and like I don't care about it. I don't. It just seems like, of all the things that we're spending our 24 hours of day on, like what we're focusing on, why aren't we talking about like the environment breaking down? Why aren't we talking about like way more important things? Like, how do we keep our sanity as social media is increasing in use? Like, there's just millions of other things that we can be talking about than other people's dirty laundry or their sidesteps or their mistakes, it just seems very non-helpful to fucking anything.
It also seems that we always get caught up on the like we always blow up the smaller things and then negate the larger things when like someone actually does something horrible and they're now on like actual trial for it, not just like social trial, but
Mm.
like actual trial for. We'll often like push those aside because those aren't the trendy things to talk about in that moment. But then like when someone yells at a coworker, or some bad workplace stuff happens, that's the stuff that explodes. And again, like, we see Ellen all the time on social media, like her video popped up for both of us, but like we don't see, except for in a very graphic way by like Peter or something, but we don't see the like environmental things that are happening that are going out there. And it's because we don't even really know if having like a land hurricane is at fault of like our environment, or if that's just a natural thing. But those aren't the things that will get like put in the limelight, so those aren't the like hot topics for us to like cancel. Like, we're not
Right.
going to like, how do you cancel global warming or like global change because of emissions, when you can't really see that to like make a post about it to like prove it to people? Some people don't believe it's real.
Right.
Climate change is real. Global warming, who knows? But
Yeah. I mean, it almost seems like we're just doing this very high school, low
oh
hanging
my
fruit.
gosh.
Like, what's the easiest thing that we could all come together and argue about? Like, oh, so and so said this. Oh, I saw so and so texting this. Like, it just seems so juvenile that we spend that. I mean, but I guess that's kind of what social media is in a lot of ways. Like, not entirely. It's certainly not completely that, but it does have. It is very easily like pulled into the high school way of viewing things, or even
Mm.
if I look at Snapchat's social media that I still, or wait, oh, I deleted the app yesterday. Okay, so Snapchat I would watch. I've been trying to get off social media a little bit. I had Snapchat because I only had like 15 friends on there, and they were kind of closer friends, so I wanted to like, I don't know. But if you look at the Discover page, just looking at the headlines, like the 4 words of um, Kim reveals the real truth of why her and Kanye got a divorce, or so and so. Like, it's these clickbait, but it's beyond clickbait. They're painting a picture of an entire scenario for us to interact with, and it's enticing. It's weird because it's something where you're like, I don't give a fuck about that, but then sometimes you're like, I'm gonna click on it though, you know. And we play into this really low, dumb emotional level of seeing problems, and we kind of don't take it serious. We take it as this joke. It's this fun entertainment for us. It's playing on the slot machine of our iPhone, but that's real people and their real life on the other side of that, and they deserve respect. They deserve
Mm.
to deal with their problems how they should deal with them, and then what they present to the public afterwards should be up to them, not up to news reporters and TMZ level people following them around and painting headlines and stories for us to fight about.
Yeah, Kanye, like, I've fallen off the Kanye train, just that I don't spend time like Karen, but you brought up the Kim and that thing, or Kim and Kanye. And early in the days, and this is before, I mean, internet really has taken this weird twist that it has today. But when, Kanye kind of like went on stage and, blew up on Taylor Swift, like everybody saw that as like we hate Kanye now, like they're very against him. And like I had no care, like I don't love his music, but like I see him as a person, and he was going through so much. Like, his mom had died. He was so unbelievably close with his mom. Like, he was just going through so much. And like no one ever stopped to go and like, hey, is Kanye okay? And it just became like a clickbait thing of like, let's go against Kanye. Like, he's
Yeah.
such a horrible person. This is like what he's done to all these other people. But like, he was super edgy. He just lost his best friend. I saw what my mom went through when she lost her mother. And so like, on a personal level and a very small, like non-public way, I can see like what that does to a person. But now when you're always pushed in the limelight, and if you sneeze, like, it's going to end up in a tabloid somewhere, like how that must destroy a person. So he wasn't able to heal through a death of like a mourning, because he was also having to deal with like all this publicity moments that he went through.
Oh,
And
no
it's
doubt.
like,
Yeah.
how has that turned him into the person that, he is today, that we saw in like 2019, 2020 Kanye, you know? So he's a person I always like have a heart for, just because it's like he was in the public eye, and I don't think he ever got a chance to heal. I think that's Kanye's
Mm,
issue. And we're still like digging at Kanye. We haven't like let that go for him
yeah.
in order
It's a
to like
popular
heal.
thing.
Yeah. And he even like the Keeping Up with Kardashians very show, a very popular show. Like he never wanted to like be on the show, or like he would never speak. Like, he might appear in the background, but he would never actually interview or like talk to the cameras. And it's because like he can't move out of his house of a TV show that's being filmed, but he wanted to like try and be out of the limelight as much as possible.
Yeah.
Feel bad for him,
I
and
mean,
it's still happening.
Yeah. It still is. I mean, there's a lot of celebrities that go through that too, and it doesn't make sense. It's like we shouldn't be feeding off of that. Shouldn't be creating entertainment, like other people's loss or other people's, you know, moments. Like again, like we all get mad, we all get upset. Sometimes we get emotional, but like our friends or the people we're interacting with often, like they know us and they understand, and they're like, you know, I get it. And then an hour later we're fine. But
Hmm.
presenting it to the world, we think it's okay for us as, as like we're audience members of someone's life, which is weird. Like this isn't Gladiator. We're not sitting in here in the Coliseum watching two people like, yeah, come on, fight. Like this is someone's life. Like what if our new Gladiator, instead of watching two men fight to the death with swords, it's like a husband and wife, and we're like, oh, we want to know all of your drama. Like we want to, ooh, she said that, ooh, the crowd
Oh, she
goes,
tweeted.
like, yeah, we're watching. It's like the public sphere has gotten just really weird and out of control. And I think that like we're interacting with it without understanding what we're contributing to it in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
I think, I mean, imagine like you were saying, your grandmother, your mom, you lost her mom. Imagine if she had to go through that the day it happens. She's got cameras, TMZ. There's 50 people right outside the hospital. Like they're like, so what? You lost your mom. How do you feel? What a maddening thing to do. What a maddening thing for anybody to go with. Again, with Kanye, he chose to get up on stage.
He did.
There was a choice, but he was going through some shit. So it's just kind of like this. It is a big deal in a sense. But there's also, I think, with retrospect and time, you kind of almost see where he's coming from. You almost have that sympathy of, oh man, that sucks. Like, and he really took that moment away from Taylor Swift, and that is sad in itself. She had to deal with trauma now from that. But it doesn't mean that he is the shittiest, worst person in the world. It doesn't mean that he deserves to like suffer. It doesn't mean that like all these mean things people say about him. Like I don't know. It's hard to run any sort of life with cameras and in social media and phones and stuff pointed at your face.
Yeah, and I think that's the root that I'm saying. I'm not saying it like, I mean, definitely sexual assault's not okay, and like, yeah, attacking people or hurting people emotionally or physically is okay. It's that we as like to create entertainment, we just like digging at people more and more. We don't like let them be, and then they become prisoners into their own house because that's the only place that's safe that they can like have guards and stuff. And it's like it's that's not okay. And I think that's like the worst that social media can do on like a larger, very public level. And then, even in like high school and stuff, you have like cyberbullying. That's a very real thing. And then you just like you kill at a human and like humanity just because there's like a screen in between you and that person, but you're still saying these things that like I wouldn't say in a large room that of a crowd that I knew this person was sitting in. It's just like that's just what's not okay.
I mean, it's that same thing I was talking about with posture and like the skills that you learn from having those face-to-face talks. I mean, like if I'm talking or like, maybe I drank 2 cups of coffee and I'm just going off and I'm just cracking jokes and I'm like not really aware of what I'm saying, but I notice that I just kind of said like a joke that took it too far and it just hurt this person's feelings. I'm going to notice that because I'm in person with them. And I'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't mean it like this. I apologize or whatever. I mean, that's a strange example, but there's so much to be brought to the table with in person and, even just visual and audio cues. Like, have you used Clubhouse at all, the new app?
Oh, I've heard about it. That's all.
You haven't gotten on it yet?
No.
I think
Trying to get off of social media.
Yeah, bro,
not like find
don't get it.
replacements.
I think that it would pull you in.
Oh no.
It's I haven't been too heavy on it. Again, like I've been trying to have a social media break too, but that is one that I have kept on. And there is something different about vocal. There is something different. Some of these conversations are really fucking good, man. Like they're very respectable people. Like I'm listening to a lot, evolutionary biologists and scientists and like very, very woke people discuss what's going on. You're listening to people on the edge of like theories of everything in physics having discussions about their views and what they've discovered. Like they're you're listening to conversations that if it was just written out or this was just papers or it was just like I'm waiting for this person to email me back to know what they think about my theory of everything and blah blah blah. Like it's this You would never see these people just, hey, let's talk on the phone and just kind of talk about this, whatever. And we'll have, and also on the other line that can hear us is 1,000 other scientists from across the world who can listen in on this conversation. So it's that there is something that there is headbutting on Clubhouse, there is arguments on Clubhouse, but there's something about having vocal tonality where people start to talk over each other. They start to kind of like, I don't mean this or whatever. And then the moderator steps in and was like, hey, let's reset. Let's bring it down. And then they continue the conversation.
That does sound great. I
yeah,
didn't realize it was
I
like
think,
that.
yeah, it's very interesting. I've been very fascinated. I haven't said anything. I haven't started my own Clubhouse rooms yet. I've thought about taking some like intense podcast episodes, like my Sense Making Sickness, where we talk about, cancel culture and these very like, fringe subjects that are difficult to talk about, that like even I will out loud maybe say the wrong things, but I don't want to be afraid to say the wrong things. I'm thinking about perhaps moving to Clubhouse, and it's kind of like you can have two people on stage. Like if you're the moderator of the room, you can make a room titled like cancel culture, and then it's me and my friend Spencer, and we're talking on the stage. But then people start to join the room just because they follow me or they follow Spencer or they like the subject or whatever, and it starts growing. I can then invite people from the audience to discuss with us and be up on stage with us. So I think when it comes to problem solving, and again, just the power of vocal tonality, I think it could be a good dip out of what social media has done to our communication, because
it almost sounds like Reddit, but like with all the verbal and social cues.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's a good comparison. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check it out, though. I don't like, I'm trying to get rid of all the social media. Like I have to keep it because I work in social media. So like I have to keep my Facebook, but I like deleted the app and I only go on for work on my laptop. And then, but then like
good.
Snapchat is where my homies are. And then Instagram's like, I feel like a healthier Facebook in a sense. It's like more conversational, or like my close friends are on Instagram for me.
Facebook is a hard one, man. Facebook to me, Facebook is like too far gone to me.
It's vicious.
I don't mean any disrespect by this, but I think Facebook being an older person thing and less understanding of how technology truthfully works. There's a lot of people on there. Very echo chamber, very tribalistic behavior on Facebook. It's very opinionated. It's too far gone. Like if I just think of, because I used to have, when I had Facebook when I was like younger, started out this very casual, just posting kind of whatever, and then after a while I would start to be the guy. I'm like, I'm good at holding two perspectives at once. I'm good at understanding where this person's coming from and this person's coming from. So I think, and so I'm going to be the guy to save the day in the comments. I'm going to try to give the logical explanation, this long drawn out thing in the comments on someone's like nasty post. Like I used to spend a lot of I would spend 35 minutes writing a reply to someone's like nasty, snarky Facebook, because I'm like, hey, you just misunderstand, and I get what the other side is saying. Also, I respect you, and I don't want them to see you in this wrong light. It's too far gone now, man. There's not a lot of logic happening there.
And there's a lot of like clickbait articles on there, which is like what was so toxic for me, because I follow like all these news channels, and then like world large events are happening, and I would just get into it. I'd get into like the numbers of things, and then people like angry at each other on social media for like their viewpoints. It's like, this is not healthy. Like, let me just pull out of it, like delete the app. And like, and I was checking on myself. I'm like, this is what this app is making me feel. But my hand just like go and click on it. And then that's like a time waster for me. And so I was like, nope, I don't want to lose these minutes of life. And I also like the amount of the feelings that it's giving me is just not worth it. Like there's no positiveness out of it. So I have it for Messenger because I talk to my best friend on Facebook Messenger, and that's it. And then just for like work posts and stuff. But like even the few minutes I'll catch myself like just sitting bored at like my console or something at work, and I have my laptop open, and it's like, oh well, I'm allowed to go to Facebook now, and I click on it for a few minutes. I've been regretting it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's not, if I want to like find out what numbers are happening, like I now Google them, or I just like sit on the news channels that I enjoy, and it's been a much healthier social media relationship. So
Yeah,
I try
that's
and
good.
keep and track. Like if Instagram is going to start doing that to me, then I should start limiting my time on that one more. And just like we need to get back to just connecting with people by like Zoom calls or something.
Yeah.
Not like what post they decide to make public that day to make an announcement.
Yeah, you're totally right, and I think you have, just noticing like, okay, I'm scrolling on this, and then just having that noticing a few minutes later of, this isn't the best thing for my time right now, or maybe this is making me think about things, or I'm now getting involved in social, discrepancies or arguments that I just don't have time for them right now. I don't have time to put my energy into this person's like melodrama, or or even if it's not drama, even if it's their life. Like a lot of times when we're just trying to casually like waste a couple minutes, it's enough to where we just got like 500 new things to think about over the course of 5 minutes, where we should have just kind of kept focus on our work, so we don't have to like bring our attention back all the time. It's
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, but like you say that, and then I guess a mini replacement slash guilty pleasure for me has been TikTok, which is like
mm,
all these like short little things, and they're like really heavy thoughts in like a 15-second video, and you just like scroll for like 15 minutes, and now you've seen like probably what 100 videos, and that's a lot of math, but and then how much would that be? Now I'm bothered. It'd be like, well, if each one was 15 seconds, there's 4 times 15, that you've seen like 60 videos, and
yeah,
now you have like
wow,
60 new thoughts. If you're like super ADHD, and now your brain is just full with like all these
yeah.
different thoughts and science and stuff, and
That
it's
sounds
exhausting.
awesome and amazing, but
Does
not conducive to like getting
no.
some shit done. I feel like it should definitely be when I'm gonna sit on TikTok, should almost be a, like, this is my designated free time. Like I'm gonna
Yeah,
let my mind go crazy. I'm gonna let like, oh wow, what a cool thought. Or, oh wow, I just learned this thing about this new dance move, I'm gonna try it. Or I'm gonna learn this thing about science, I'm gonna go look more into it. But it's not super helpful to have a sudden like to disrupt our day all the time. I mean, and I still deal with my addictions when it comes to social media for sure too. I'm still working through them in my own ways. But I do notice it pulls you away, and it makes you think about a million other things that you weren't thinking about, and then trying to bring your attention back to like, dude, I got to get some work done. I got to edit
right.
this thing. I've got to show up. I've got to talk to normal people, and I don't want to just talk about TikTok videos to people in person. So I've got to like be present. What do I need to be thinking about? Where do I need to be? So
Yeah,
it's
people that don't understand TikTok, you have to be, because like, I mean, there's some judgment on TikTok as well. It's like, oh, I was watching a video that told me this science fact, or like, oh, I read this article, and it's like, no, it wasn't either one of those. It was a TikTok video, and then I got on like the TikTok thread and then learned so much more about that topic. But like, you can't just say, oh, I watched a TikTok on it. Like,
yeah, they
that's
instantly
just
don't
not
respect you. They're like,
right.
they're like, okay, so anything you're about to say is not a real thing.
Right. And they're like, oh, you're on TikTok. Like, no one fact checks that. But it's like, no, it was like Hank Green. He's like a good scientist. And he was
Right.
talking about cells, and it was so cool. But like, you can't say, oh, I learned on TikTok.
Well,
No.
and I think we have to look at our attention spans in a real way, and look at, you may have not ever even learned or cared to learn about that specific information if it wasn't, condensed into a nice bite-sized, enjoyable chunk.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
if the only way you're going to learn about this little corner of science is from somehow going to a lecturer or a college course to sit through it for a quarter, then that's a lot bigger deal than being able to learn something really cool, the core of like, something that even those TikTok videos could spark your interest and make you want to go join the class,
Oh, yeah.
because it presents it in a way that's simple, and it's short, and it's to the point. I talk about, I had him on Instagram, and he would repost his TikToks on there. Reed Stefan, who is a music producer, and he's like posts, 25 seconds, how to make vocals sound good on a trap track. And it'll just be 25 seconds of him add this delay, and then you're going to add this reverb, and then you're going to do this to your auto tune. And oh my gosh, so much information in one little clip. And I just learned so much from it. It's amazing. Like,
Yeah, you don't need all the fluff. You just
yeah,
need to know. And then that will like now you are gonna try it, maybe learn a few other things because you tried this one thing and then now you're on like a creative spree that, maybe you weren't originally gonna get sent on because you didn't see that video.
yeah.
That stuff's fun.
But we gotta check ourselves though to some extent. We
Do
gotta
you have
make
to
sure
like
we're not
center
getting.
yourself? Like, how long have I spent on TikTok today? Oh, I love that. The like swipe over feature on your oh, I love it and I hate it.
Oh
But
yeah, that's
like
always
you can
brutal to look at.
see, right? Especially when it's like a non-work day. And then so like today, I mean, I've been running around town. I've been on my phone for an hour and 3 minutes. And it'll like show you like how much time you've actually spent doing stuff. Like I've been on 19 minutes just sitting on Messenger, probably texting people about work stuff, but
Mhm.
like that's too much time of my life. And that's how much time has like expelled that like I'm not gonna get back now. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's great and bad to know.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely changing us. It's definitely, our attention spans are changing, and where I really like talking about on the podcast. I feel like I have some really good conversations like this about social media and like our own social media use, because we're kind of the age, around the age where we got social media at like a young teen age.
MySpace, man. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you remember how old you were when you got MySpace? Like roughly?
It was definitely on a desktop. I got it because my youth group all had it and we had like a feed. So I don't know. I was young. I'd have to like think about it.
Yeah, pretty young though.
Yeah. But like I didn't have a cell phone. I definitely had social media before I had a cell phone. I was 12 when I got
Yeah.
a cell phone. So probably like 11 or 12, I was on MySpace. I feel like that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess maybe that's not so different. I mean, I guess we didn't have, like, nowadays you're having, very young kids, like babies, go from like they already have an iPad in their hand and stuff, and that enough is to change. I mean, the ages 0 through 9, like this is really, changes a lot of who we are and what we
Yeah.
do and how we're going to be for the rest of our life. And so, yeah, I mean, I enjoy just kind of speaking on the differences, because so much of this stuff we just do without thinking about it. We're just doing. It's like the new iPhone came out, so I got it, and then it's like, wait, why do I have the iPhone? Like, what does it do for me? What is it doing to me? If I didn't have it, what would I be like? If I, there's all these things that where we're kind of just living the life that's given to us on the platter in a lot of ways. But I think that our age group can really be helpful in the future to young kids. Like we're talking about, just having social interaction. These kids are going to grow up and not be able to have a lot of face-to-face conversations, and that could be harmful to their, to their feelings about themselves.
True. But
It's,
like you and I also, oh, sorry, to cut you off.
no, you're
But
good.
like you and I also were handed like, I don't want to say like a 7 course appetizer, but like we
Mm,
had a transition to social media. So like now you've got me thinking about my timeline, like, 11 or 12, I had a MySpace before I had a cell phone. At 12, I got a cell phone. I could only do calls. And I had a Facebook before I had a phone that could even like search on the internet or anything like that.
wow, yeah.
So whereas like now kids are having like cell phones or also an internet machine and they're like here and then they can go and get, Snapchat, Clubhouse, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, like all of them all at once. Whereas like we sort of more or less, I guess, faded out of in-person conversations. So we still crave that because we know the benefits of them.
True.
Whereas like you and like kids today are just like, this is how you communicate, go soar. And that's really interesting. Never thought
Yeah.
about that before.
It's
Thanks for that
we're
seed.
yeah, no, yeah, heck yeah. I mean, we're learning, like we're noticing as we get older, we're like, oh, okay, like this doesn't feel super good, because we're used to actually also having the in-person conversation. So maybe we're actually in a even more important position of noticing the contrast. Being older, like we still understand technology. It's not like, because you go 10 years above us, and a lot of people, technology is like just a very difficult thing for them to, they're still like learning how to not peck when they type on the keyboard.
Mm.
So yeah, I just foresee a lot of strange social and like biochemical or bio we're going to deal, the young kids are going to grow up and deal with new things that humans have never dealt with before.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's going to come out psychologically, if it's going to be like physical too, if it's going to be, we like what we have been for thousands of years suddenly changed in 14 years. iPhone came out 2007, and we're going to have, it's not going to be like kids are going to start fucking melting and then they can't have real person conversations or anything, but there is going to be some mental health related issues that young people are going to have to navigate and deal with, on their own. And I hope that our age group is able to, offer them some helpful advice, so.
Yeah, but isn't our generation the most anxious generation?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I've seen that somewhere, which I believe. Oh yeah, I feel that.
I mean, it's probably a lot from social media. Like we're suddenly, all of our social structures are put in front of our face, and now we have to worry about them in ways that we never really thought about before. We were just interacting and doing our thing before, and now we
Mhm.
know it exists. We know where we should fit in it, and we know how to present ourselves to fit in it,
Mhm. Oh my gosh, Facebook even has like a feature, and I've seen it, where it's like the timeline feature, so you can like Megan Robinson bought a house, and it's literally like an option. It's like pre-built into Facebook, like, Megan Robinson is engaged to blank, or like whatever you want. And it's like a whole timeline in her life. Like it's pure pre-curated, but it's just not. It's not built that way. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
Social media.
our whole life is an interview in a way, right? Like
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
you're now living through a lifelong interview of like what have you done, what have you accomplished, and like there's a point where an employer who's probably like hire, if you're applying for a job at Apple or Tesla, like they probably have some pretty good people who are searching like your background before they hire you, or if you're hired as someone who's going to have like an opinion or like represent a company, they're going to scrub your whole history. They're going to look at, not your history, but like what you've posted, who you are, what you've been tagged in. Like, have a lifelong of interviewing, and
Yeah.
that's supposed to represent who you are, which is the wrong way to look at humans, but it's something we're going to deal with.
I have
Are dealing
friends
with.
that like care so much about what their portfolio looks like, and like what do their financial portfolios look like? Like how much do they have in stocks? Like do they own a house yet? Like they almost carry, and it's not like social media, they straight up just care like what does my portfolio look like, and that's all they'll talk about is like what stocks they have or like how much they're worth. And it's like that's not what matters when you're at the end, when your meat pod goes bad and you need to, you know, go on to whatever is next. It's like that stuff doesn't carry over into the next game, the next video, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, like
Mm.
what does that stuff have to do with love and beauty and
Mm.
in relationships and family and friendships, and those are, it's almost like our society overlay sometimes takes hold of us and takes us away from like the realness of what we are
Mhm.
as humans with brains and emotions and
Mm.
all these intricate things.
Lately I've been, so like, the panoramic has made me a lot more appreciative of like the moments. So like when we were all locked in our houses, I would like look at photos and like the things that we've done, or like our travel opportunities that we've both had, and like enjoying those moments. So like lately, since like things are coming back out and people are leaving their homes and I'm getting to go places again, I'm like getting angry at myself because the past few months I've always been like looking down at my screen, like trying to like see what the outside world looks like. And
Mm.
then I have to like catch myself, and it's really hard. I want to do better at, but I like want to look up more and like look at the world and like live in the moment and try and figure out how to like live in the present and not worry about like the next 5 things that I need to go do.
Mm.
And like enjoy all these like little moments we have, because like we all lost it in like a day. Um, but like those are the things that like carry over and like continue, not like our financial portfolios or like what our credit score is. So important, and apparently in order to exist in our economic world, but like those aren't the top things that like everybody should be walking around having to like brag about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not that they're not important, they
Hmm.
for sure are, but they shouldn't be the starting point of how you meet everybody, or like the starting point of how you represent yourself, or everything you
Hmm.
think about. I've said this before, is either Timothy Leary or Ram Dass had repeated it. uh, always keep in mind your Buddha nature and your social security number. And it's that's how it is. I mean, you've got to notice on both, but I think that, recognizing I'm a human with emotions, and like that's what's important in my relationships with people. Like actual relationships are important, and the rest of the stuff is just that's plus, and that rest of the stuff sometimes gets you to your right relationships, but for the most part, like what's the core of why you're getting those things? Like once you get money, it's you want to have all this money, or you want to have all this comfort or this safety, so you can feel what, like wholeness with your being. You can feel
Mm-hmm.
at ease. You can feel peace. You're trying to get these things to obtain some sort of emotion or mode of being that makes you most comfortable. So we've definitely had a lot of great trips. Like as you were talking about our trips, I was immediately thinking of I think was it San Francisco or San Diego?
We went to Anaheim.
And then what's south of Anaheim? It was like an hour away, 45 minutes away, where we went to the boardwalk and
Oh,
stuff.
that was a cool beach. I wasn't Malibu.
No,
I tagged it because it was like that was a photo that I went through, and
it
it
was
was like
the
we need to
pier.
repost this. It was the pier, and then it got cold, and we got cool jackets.
Yeah, we went to this gas station. Yeah, that's what, dude. Our team has such a good time together. We're coworkers, but we all seem to like. All
We
right, we
went
got
to
our work done.
Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach. Yeah. Oh, cool. Wait,
Yeah.
hold that up again.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I started
Yeah,
talking,
like-
so the camera switched to me. I wanted to make sure everybody saw it. That's
Oh,
a
it's so
wonderful photo.
good.
That was a
You
great
had
night.
You had a man bun back then.
I had a man bun. I miss it. I'm gonna grow my hair back out. I'm gonna grow the whole
Really?
thing back out this time. But
What good memes though.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we have a lot of good times. I mean, you've done a lot of traveling. You've been traveling. When did you start traveling for work? Like, how old were you?
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked on a TV show, and I went to I was based out of Florida. I went to Pennsylvania. I was in Pittsburgh. So I was like, okay, I can get free housing, like take me there. And then they took me out to Las Vegas to finish the season finale. It was
That's-
pretty cool.
You remember what were you doing? Like, what was your show role?
Oh, I was like a production assistant for an NBC show.
Nice.
Yeah, it was American Ninja Warrior, but I just don't like
Oh,
run
dope.
around with that. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really cool.
You're not trying to name drop. That is super
No,
cool, though.
I don't want to be known for that. For like a year or two, it was like, oh, she works on American Ninja Warrior. And I didn't want that. But yeah.
I get that though. I mean, you're super multifaceted though. You do a lot of things. You know your way around camera and video camera very well too.
I
Editing.
just like to help people do whatever I can.
Yeah, you're very helpful. I mean, you are aware of like feelings and situations that other people aren't. Like I remember, like there was a time in Pennsylvania, I think it was Pennsylvania, where everyone got sick, and then like we're all sitting there just suffering and blowing in our napkins, and you like set down like vitamins and like you're like, oh, I went and took care of this, and I also got batteries, and I got this. Like you're just aware.
That was when I was a drug dealer for all of you. We laughed about because every 4
Yeah.
hours I was like, guys, it's time to take our medicine.
Yep, time to take your medicine, team.
Oh, we
Yeah.
were all dying. I have like on Snapchat, there's like a feature where you can like see your previous snaps. And so I was like, Pennsylvania had popped up, and I was like, we're all dying, and I like looked sick, and like I had a video of like one of my interns bringing me a Capri Sun, and then we were just, yeah, that was a time. We have had good shows. You haven't been able to like travel as much since it's virtual and you can like send us your files.
Yeah.
But every show you're still mentioned. It's like, oh, we have the Jake file. We're good.
Cool. Yeah, that's always super sweet to hear. I know, like I feel like you guys will message me, or Abrielle will message me like, oh, this music is just making it, or she'll like, the boss will say something, and she'll text me like, oh, he's really appreciating this or whatever. It makes me feel like I'm kind of there with y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you definitely are. Like, there was this one song, and I couldn't say what song it is now. I'd have to ask Tyler, but we were all concerned that it was going to be all the profanity was about to hit. And then you just like changed the song right before like the profanity should have hit, and it like transitioned so well. And it's just like, oh, Jake just knows how to make it clean for all the ears. It was a really cool moment.
Yeah, I've got a couple years of listening for cuss words experience underneath my belt at this point, and now it's like something. I did a wedding on Saturday, And man, like even playing my tags that are marked clean, I'm going to play them and I'm listening through it really quickly in my headphones and I'm like, oh, I can't play that. It's clean because it edits it out, but it's literally talking about very vulgar stuff. Or it'll say, like even a song saying sex, the word sex or sexy too much is very uncomfortable to play to children,
Yeah.
And
They
so
know
there's
what it
even
is,
those.
though.
Yeah, and so I'm like looking for all these little things. It's not just like, oh, it's the dirty version or the clean version, or it's the bleeped version or the not. I mean, there's like so many. I have to assess what the lyrics mean, what they're hinting at, and make sure it's just not something that's too right below the surface where everybody's like, oh, I know what that means. You were saying that vulgar thing with a little bit different a word. It's hard to.
Yeah. I remember there was this one show where I picked a song for a video that I need to edit, which was like an overview of our conference. And you had caught that might not have been a good song choice. And then Boss Man was sitting there. And then like the three of us are just sitting there and you instantly like pulled up the lyrics. I remember Boss Man seeing it as like a really impressive moment because like you don't just like listen to it and go like, oh yeah, that's fine. Like no, you actually read it to like make sure that there's not like a little like undercut lyric that's in there that might be misinterpreted.
Oh yeah, it's so nerve-wracking to like if I hear something, my butt is just so puckered. I'm just like, oh man, like if I think it's coming, I'll even like as I'm listening to it play out, if I've already checked it and it's the clean version, but I know the regular version normally says something else. As it's playing over the speakers, I'm still kind of like, I know that I checked that one, but like, did I put the wrong file in? Is it about to say shit really
no.
loud or?
Oh no. But that's like the kids aren't being filtered that either. Like it's only like shows and schools and concerts that like have to do it. But like again, the kids can just like go and click on whatever they want and still get exposed to that. Like I remember back in the day wherein like we bought like albums, right? Like CDs, that hard case CDs, with paper in them. And like there used to be a sticker. I guess it's still on there
Explicit.
now, but like yeah, parental advisory, like
Yeah.
explicit, like that was a question mark if like I could get that album at like Hot Topic or something. It's like, well, who is this? And like if it was a certain artist, it was like, oh, okay, like we like them, they're fine. But then like others, it's like, oh no, this is an explicit album, like we can't get that. And
Yeah,
like
it was
now I
off
don't think
limits.
that's a thing.
I can't imagine it is. I mean, because Spotify's explicit tag is very crappy. It's so crappy. I mean,
Right. But
there's
like
there's popular songs that are like the today's top hits, like number one. Everybody listens to this exact one, and there's no explicit tag next to it. But like in the chorus, it's saying shit.
But like, how do you filter that out? Like, does a parent like log on to Spotify or Apple Music and then like type in a password and like, no, we don't want our child having this
I mean,
unclean music, and then they
you,
just don't have access to all of Spotify.
but then but then Spotify's tags would have to be more accurate than they are. And
Yeah.
we'd have to have some sort of like designated, these are bad words, these references are bad that we don't want our kids to hear. Tyler and I talked about this on a podcast, and I mean, I think it's so much simpler than it is, but then you start discussing it and it's like, oh man, this is a very complicated issue. Like, what's a cuss word? Why is a cuss word bad? Like, should we be completely not letting kids listen to it? Should we be leaving it up to their parents to explain to them, hey, like, it's okay for you to hear this, but I would like for you to not repeat this because it's a bad word because this, or, whatever. I think that's up to parents as individuals. I don't know that there should be one big clean words police. But it is interesting. We still are holding on to this parental advisory explicit tag, but it's not working. It's like it's just this old thing that's broken, but we're not addressing it. We're just kind of like, let's do. We're doing the thing. Hey, we put explicit on it because it said the cuss word. Like we did our work, but they're not all the time. So
It's crazy. I know YouTube, they have like a generator where like even if certain words are used, you have to like you have to be like signed in and like it verifies that you're 13 years or older, or like 18 plus. But like even that's not good if you can just like switch your parents' account on your YouTube web page because you have a shared computer or something.
yeah, because like their parents don't know how to do that sort of thing, but kids are
Right.
like, oh, I know exactly how to do this.
Like, oh, I know my parents' password. I'll just change it and we'll watch this video and it's fine. Yeah.
Their password is my name with a 1 after it.
Oh no.
The dead giveaway. Well, we are getting kind of up here in time, Megan. I've really appreciated this conversation. What do you have? what do you have coming up? Like so you've been working your butt off the last 60 days. You've been moving around. You were saying,
I think so.
yeah. So what have you been doing lately? Like you've been doing, is it a lot more video work? Are you doing production assistant stuff? A little of everything
I've
probably.
been traveling around doing like COVID shows is what we call them. So we still build a stage as if like an audience would be there, but then just the people that are on stage are present and then like the immediate workers. And then we don't have an audience and then we just like live stream it out. So I've been hopping around city to city doing that. And then in between that, I have been doing drive-in shows. So Florida's
Mm.
pretty open right now with the panoramic. But like they're still hesitant about doing like indoor stuff or like super crowded stuff. So another company I work for, we have these stages that are trailers and they just like open up and then we like put all of our production stuff on it and build LED walls that way people can see. And then we'll have concerts. So we had like Ali and AJ and a few other like rappers and comedians recently come on stage. So whenever I'm not traveling, I've been home working on those shows. And Easter we have drive-in church where everybody like pulls up to our stages and church is happening on stage safely. And then they tune into their radio station and they can see on our giant like LED walls like church that's happening. So I'll be like live switching for that this Easter.
I think that's going to be something nice. I think that's going to be cool, actually.
It's great. I've done them before. This will be my 4th drive-in church session, and it's the same church that we have, and it's just really cool. Like they're very loud church, and it's a great session. Yeah, that's what I have. What about yourself? What do you have coming up?
Oh man, my life is weird right now. As far as live events, I don't really have much of anything. I've done like a couple virtual things like for Cybus and whatnot, but because I'm moving actually. Did I tell you I'm moving?
You did. You're moving to
Yeah.
Texas. You're gonna be a
Yeah.
Texan.
I'm gonna be a Texan, yeah. And so, yeah. Spoiler alert, anybody who is a listener of the podcast, that's the first mention of that. I am moving out to Texas. So I'm at this point where, I don't really know what's next for me. I don't really know like what's coming up. I don't really know even what my career choice is fully going to be right now. Because I'm really trying to take this as it is a big deal. I've lived in this town my whole life, and so my first move, my move away, I'm recognizing how, this really could be a great, beautiful, wonderful transitional moment to me in my future and what I want to do, and I've got a lot of ideas and some plans, but nothing super solid right now. So I'm just gonna go try to really, really be present and just really be there and be open to opportunities, open to like, dare I say it, open to synchronicities, open to listening to my intuition. I really have this like strong inner faith, if I want to overuse the spiritual words, but that it's what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I'm very pulled to this place for whatever reason at this time in my life, and so I'm kind of just hoping that it unravels as it should when I get there. So that's
it
kind of
will.
where I'm at.
If you want it, it will unravel. Even if like that's how I believe that's how it works. Even in like my hardest times, like it has worked out. Even if it doesn't feel like it does. Like at the end, I'm like, oh, it worked out. So I know for you, since you want it and you are who you are, like it's gonna be great, whatever it is, wherever you want to go.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the journey. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
What do you have? Do you have anything going on in your personal project life? Like, of course, are you doing? Because I think you have a photography page on Instagram, don't you? Are you doing anything on that lately?
It's very dead.
I mean, you're super busy, but
I haven't had time to post it, and that's sort of its own entity. But yeah, I do videography and photography on the side. I do like engagement shoots, and lately I've been doing a lot of like post processing on Lightroom, but I'm really good at sharing my photos with all the people that I take them of, but I'm really bad at sharing them to the pages that I should be sharing them to. So I just like people to have their photos and enjoy them.
No, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So is there any project or anything that you want to have people keep an eye on? Like anything you want to?
Nah, we're good.
You good? You just working?
I can, just keep chugging.
Okay.
But
well,
thanks for the opportunity of a shout out.
Yeah, of course. I just want to I think you're a cool person. I think you're really good at what you do. Like all the things that you're like your mind is just very good in a live event setting. Like you just have so many different things covered, and it's like if Megan's on it, it's good. It's good.
I
You
appreciate
trust
that.
it. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I love working with you, and I miss working with you too, my friend.
As do
Um,
I. Maybe the large national show.
Yeah. I do have a couple emails I need to respond to
Good.
in terms of that, but we will see. It's hard to plan it all out, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
We'll hopefully see you in person soon.
Yes, I hope so. Megan, it's been wonderful. I thank you for making this happen. I know that we had like rescheduled it a couple times, and
We're just busy people, man.
yeah. So I wish you the best of luck in your busy endeavors going forward. Let's catch up in the next couple weeks. I'll definitely, once this is ready to release and whatnot, I'll shoot you another text.
Sounds
And,
good.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
All right.
All right, Megan, have a good rest of your day. Listeners, take care of yourselves. Drink some water. Do a little stretching. Look at the back of your ingredients. What are you putting into your body? How much social media are you using? Is social media using you? Are you arguing with other people? Are you identifying with things that aren't really you? Are you really getting the most out of your human experience right here? Because you're love, and that's what you should focus on. Love. Love yourself. Peace out. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, Megan. Thank you again.
Bye.